I was born in 1975. I am at the heart of a generation that had mothers leave the home and head into work to make ends meet, who grew up with parents overcome with the general melees that hung over the country, and who has come to age at the end of the American Empire. It's easy to be critical. In fact, we are the generation that invented grunge and lived comfortably with angst in our spirits. We were latchkey kids who were forgotten by the boomers who preceded us. Their engrossment in their own successes in life left us on the sideline, too uncomfortable with conflict to say our grievances out loud, but also still hoping for the America our grandparents had described. We have put our heads down and tried our best to do the things that everyone said would work to create a happy life. We went to college. We got good jobs. We were active in our communities. We involved ourselves in civic institutions. We did all we could for our families. But after all of that, we still find ourselves stuck in between a world that once was and a dystopic one that is coming faster than we could have ever imagined. We haven't lost hope like the next generations, and yet we haven't gotten the traction that our parents did. Everything in our time is more difficult than the last, and not because of existential threats like Nazis or communists, but because of a self-induced suicide as a country. We have had harder barriers placed around us by an activist boomer generation and an overly sensitive youth. Our money has been ruined because of irresponsible politicians and political payoffs for power. The economic system is a crushing capitalism for most of us, yet we see the veneration of a few fortunate people that live in wealth unimagined by previous generations. I disparage no one for their success, but the punitive actions by a cancerous state have put Generation X squarely in the crosshairs of a brutal America. We still believe in hard work and success, but our children feel hopeless and don't think that anything that we say works does. And truthfully, their assessment, while harsh and fatalistic, isn't incorrect. Groceries are more expensive. Our food is processed and poisoned. Our lives are surveilled beyond understanding. Building wealth seems elusive. Societal norms are lost. Institutions are untrustworthy. And houses are out of reach. I've been more than skeptical of politics in my life. Everyone that has been paraded in front of me has been cut from a similar cloth. They seem like quality people with great ideas who are propped up by talking points most promoted by the media. There's always a horse race election, and the results have forever been the same. A trajectory cast in permanence, ever marching towards more control and more power for the state. I was intrigued by the Donald Trump of 2015. He was one of the most interesting people I had seen run. He was confident, blustery, and was one of the people in the club that came out to the porch to tell us what was happening behind closed doors. Yet even President Trump couldn't overcome the power of the machine. His wrecking ball personality was dismantled by the people he surrounded himself with. And he relied too heavily on untrustworthy people to do the work he claimed he wanted done. By the end of his term, he had spent more money than any other president. He had locked down an economy. He had empowered federal bureaucracy more than it had been when he came into office. And anything that had to do with the loss of his election came as the result of having a country locked down and frustrations pent up. Arriving at January 6th, the machine knew what they had been able to destroy, and no matter what came next, Trump had been ground up and spit out. His current revenge tour will not end the way his followers hope, and elections will appear stolen, the media will still be crooked, and Trump will fade away as a graciousless man whom the political system destroyed. I've made it clear that my choice in this cycle is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I've come to that conclusion not because he has all the talking points of politicians down, or because he's 12 years the younger of the youngest candidate currently running. I've come to that conclusion through a careful and elongated study of his actions. The things he is talking about are the things I resonate most fervently with as a Gen X American. He's discussing endless wars. He's discussing Bitcoin. He's discussing the rights that have been lost. He's discussing free speech. He's discussing corporate agency capture. And when he's talking about them, he's not just nibbling around the edges of a policy, but instead showcases his deep understanding about how any subject works. No one understands and articulates solutions to the problems we face as a country as well as RFK Jr. He's actually worked in the field of law for the last 40 years, suing the agencies and the corporations who have been unscrupulous in their treatment of the average American. he has a surgical precision about his solutions that gives us the best shot to begin to unwind this metastasized monster. I believe he understands the agencies that have built a prison for the well-behaved citizen and knows their inclination and adoration for power. He understands the shadow world that has been created with illegal immigration, where the non-citizen is the beneficiary of misbehavior and the citizen is burdened with the humanitarian and financial crises. As a candidate, he discusses the revolving door of regulator and board member and how the crony system comes at the expense of the American. No one in my lifetime has better articulated the angst of my generation. We were just becoming adults when the towers came down. We were just having children when the housing market collapsed and nefariously consolidated into the nationalized institution it has become. We were just sending our children into high school when the federal government made it permissible to lock everyone in their homes, cease educational operations, and obliterate the value of our dollar by paying everyone to stay inside. We've lived our lives surveilled by our own expensive ankle monitors, clicking yes to the terms that sign our rights away to a corporate state, to be sure to post on social media for our next like. This is the world we are navigating as a generation, and for once there is a politician who has traction, gumption to move outside the norms, and boldness to speak about the ills that have befallen us. He has the voice to disrupt the entrenched, and the capabilities to bring the ship upright from her side. When someone finally speaks as a representative, it becomes incumbent not just to listen, but to act. Our republic demands it. Our future will not exist without that action. This time I want a surgeon with precision who is lighting up the possibility within me that there might be hope for the flywheel of political punishment to lose its momentum. In the recent weeks, I've been reminded of his father's own speech about the gross national product, and how those words were a powerful call to the people of that generation. If we listen closely, we can hear not what just could have been, but what might still yet be ahead. My generation wants a different option to measure our lives by. We are tired of the Homo economicus life. We want an America for our children that measures the things that make life worth living.
Too much and for too long, we seem to have surrendered personal excellence and community value in the mere accumulation of material things. Our gross national product now is over $800 billion a year. But that gross national product, if we judge the United States of America by that gross national product counts air pollution and cigarette advertising and ambulances to clear our highways of carnage. It counts special locks for our doors and the jails for the people who break them. It counts the destruction of the redwoods and the loss of our natural wonder in chaotic sprawl. It counts napalm, and it counts nuclear warheads and armored cars for the police to fight the riots in our cities. It counts Whitman's rifle and sex knife and the television programs which glorify violence in order to sell toys to our children. Yet the gross national product does not allow for the health of our children, the quality of their education, or the joy of their play. It does not include the beauty of our poetry, or the strength of our marriages, the intelligence of our public debate, or the integrity of our public officials. It measures neither our wit nor our courage, neither our wisdom nor our learning, neither our compassion nor our devotion to our country. It measures everything in short, except that which makes life worthwhile. And it can tell us everything about America, except why we are proud that we are American.